Impact segment tonight, split in the Democratic Party. Some Dems are setting themselves up as the loyal opposition.
I fought really hard for Donald Trump not to be president, but I think you got to sit and listen to what he says and hear what he has to say and read his plans. We owe it to the American people who voted for this man to become president to at least look at those. And if they're not what we want, then we fight like hell.
Congressman Ryan representing the moderate wing of his party, but the radical wing wants to destroy Donald Trump before he even gets into office. Yesterday, a full-page ad in the New York Times called the country a potential fascist state and urged resistance to President-elect Trump. Some of those signing the ad, the actors Michael Shannon, Deborah Messing, and Ed Asner, also Rosie O'Donnell. Joining us now here in New York City, two other men who signed the ad, Carl Dix, founding member of the Revolutionary Communist Party USA, and Dr. Cornel West, professor at Harvard University. So, Dr. West, I know you a long time. You're not willing to give Trump a chance? You don't want to see him maybe for 6 months and see what he does? You're not willing to do that?
I'm just afraid of the danger and the damage that he's already talked about. And when we talk about fascism, we're not talking about just an isolated individual who's president. We're talking about a strong man, narcissistic personality, tied to big business, tied to big military, possibility of war, and slices of big media, because we know money itself plays a fundamental role in corporate media that allows him to too often get away with
why don't you? All right, I mean, that's your point of view. You're worried about him.
Well, it's not a point of view. It's the I think it's a matter of truth. What's true, not.
But if it were true, then he wouldn't have been elected. See, there's a lot of people disagree. Wait.
The populace will vote for a fascist. Hitler was elected.
Why not give him a chance to see what he will do for a few months anyway? Why not do that?
People gave Hitler a chance, and we saw what that meant for humanity. And with Donald Trump, look at what we're talking about. Muslim registry, wall on the border with Mexico, law and order, which is code word for unleashing harsher repression against Black and Latino people. Also a disregard for dissent and civil liberties. I mean, people who burn the flag, which is protected political speech, going to jail and losing their citizenship. His opponent in the election being threatened with jail. Reporters who were critical of him having to hire security. This is not only a program that's fascist, but an approach that will suffocate the room in society to oppose those things.
Again,
so that's why we're calling on people to come to the streets and act to stop this regime before it gets started.
Yeah, you had a chance to stop it on Election Day, and it didn't work out in your way. So to me, I want everybody to be fair, all right? I don't think you have any historical context to compare Donald Trump to Hitler. I mean, Hitler had a record from 1927 on of violence.
So does Donald Trump.
No, he has no record of violence.
What about the full-page ad calling for the execution of the Central Park Five that he did in 1990?
That is
5 young men who were framed, and who he still thinks should be in prison.
That is rhetoric,
this man is
not
real clear.
Violence. Look, you have to go on what happens, not as what is being said. Look, you're a communist, right? All right, you're a communist.
Yes, I'm a representative of the Revolutionary Communist Party.
Right. But I don't condemn you because you're a communist. I don't do that. I wait and see what you, Mr. Nix, do. What do you do? Not that you're a philosopher. Stalin was a communist.
What I'm doing right now is calling on people, because
you're calling on people to do what?
To come out into the streets, to manifest their anguish, fear, and outrage.
And what are they going to do in the street? What do you want them to do in the street? What?
Protest, nonviolent civil
nonviolent?
disobedience.
Just with signs and stuff?
Church congregations to do vigils with candles in whatever form.
So that's what you both want. You want a mass.
We're calling for that.
A mass display.
We want a moral, spiritual awakening that focuses on poor and working people, on women, on Mexicans, on Muslims, those who have been demeaned by Trump and others.
If that does not materialize.
On undocumented immigrants, we will defend them. We will defend the women when it comes to closing down the place. We will defend those who are vulnerable.
Your vision does not materialize.
Yes.
Which I don't think it's going to.
No, we'll see if it materializes.
But if it doesn't, then what's the next step?
We continue to struggle.
The struggle for what?
for truth and justice.
Well, okay,
my brother.
so you come on programs like this and you
Yes.
give your opinion. That's fine.
But it's not
is there
just
any other
opinion.
element?
But it's not
also-
just opinion, though. There are people suffering. Working people are suffering. Poor people are suffering. Women are suffering.
Yeah, but
Black people are suffering.
Trump has
Brown people are suffering.
promised to bring more jobs to
He's
alleviate the
already
suffering.
betrayed working people by bringing in Wall Street and Goodman.
all right, but
Goldman
that's just
Sachs and so
rhetoric.
forth.
Come on,
That's
Doc.
not rhetoric. That's
Go ahead.
analysis.
Promise of jobs
Yes.
that hasn't materialized yet, but a promise of jobs
He's not president
does
yet.
not excuse embracing a Muslim registry.
Well,
a
let's see if
border
the
wall,
Muslim registry happens.
bragging about sexual assault,
Oh, stop. It's
whipping up a lynch
ridiculous.
mob atmosphere.
You
It's
can
very
do
real.
that
At
to
his
any
rallies,
human
he said
being.
we should lay out these protesters. In the old days, we
I
could
think you're
do
both
that,
being unfair.
and I will pay your
Unfair in
legal
which way?
bills.
I think
Unfair in which way?
You
In which
got
way,
to
Brother Bill?
see what he does in office. What he does.
But he's already talked about it.
Doesn't matter what he says.
Okay,
It's
see,
what he
you
does.
are- You do history, Bill.
Unfair.
You're not actually
What about
looking
his
at it.
personnel?
Should
What about
people in
personnel?
Germany
What
have
about his personnel?
done what
He
they
has
did to
trouble.
give Hitler
Don't give me
a
Germany.
chance? I give
Your
you
communist
Germany.
crew
I give you
killed
Germany.
just as many in
No,
the
no.
Soviet Union.
First of all, that's
right?
not correct, and
Yes,
I
it
can
is.
talk to you.
We don't need to get into the
I got to
We're
get
talking
out
about
of here.
Bring me back to talk about that.
You guys aren't being fair.
But let's talk about the reality, and the reality
Aren't
is
being fair.
no.
Okay? We gave you your
That
say.
isn't the question.
You gotta
We are
watch and see
talking
what he
about
does.
a fascist
We'll
regime,
see.
and you don't give
right.
fascism a
You
chance.
can label anybody that.
Everybody with
So
justice in their
when
heart.
we return 3
should
months from
join
now,
us in the streets of
rights
DC.
and
We'll
liberties
see.
curtail,
We'll see.
continuing to demean
All right.
Mexicans,
Gotta go.
Muslims, and women.
Gotta
Then
go.
we'll see. Then we'll see.
Directly